Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today I'm going to show you how to use some inexpensive materials to make some beautiful magnets. With Mother's Day right around the corner, this is a wonderful project that you can do with your kids, and it's very simple. So I kind of had a bit of a brainstorming moment this morning when I was looking at some of the projects that I was working on last night for this, and I saw some of my ink smudging. Now, I didn't think that was a really big deal, but then I thought, well, duh, I've got the perfect markers I can use for this without worrying about them smudging or damaging my stamps. So we're going to use the Stampers Big Brush pens. They are an India ink marker, and we're also going to use some stamps from our sponsor, Rubber Stamp Tapestry, because they're tiny and they're going to fit our little magnets perfectly. So for the magnets, what we're going to use are these flat-backed marbles. You can pick these up at any craft store, but I find that the Dollar Tree has bags of big ones and little ones for $1, and you can even find oval ones too if you're interested in some different shapes. So definitely affordable. We're going to use white cardstock, and we're also going to accent with some colored pencils, and you can use whatever brand you already have. I would recommend a regular wax-based colored pencil instead of a watercolor pencil, just to reduce smudging when we glue everything down. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to ink up our stamp with one of our markers, and I think I'm going to do this one with pink. And again, you could use a regular watercolor marker for this. It just might bleed a little bit when you glue it to your marble, and just like the ones I showed, those were all done with regular watercolor markers because I didn't have this brilliant idea until this morning. So don't worry about that. So now I'm just going to stamp it close to the edge of my cardstock here. Actually, it doesn't really matter, but I like not to waste. Okay, and I'm going to let that dry, and I think I want to put a few leaves on there, so I am going to use this green. Now remember, we're going to enhance things with colored pencils, so if the color's not just right or not dark enough, you don't have to worry about it. Now, I can look at the line on the edge of my stamp to line it up, so I know that right where that line is, right where the edge of that leaf is going to go, so I'm going to go ahead and use that as my guide and put a couple of those right there. And then I think I want to do maybe some strawberries as well, because that's kind of a pretty motif. So I'm getting my strawberry stamps, and I want the strawberry, the little flower, the little bud, and maybe a curlicue. I'm going to see if I can fit all of those in one of the larger marbles. So I'm going to ink this up with a red marker. And some of these, you know, you might not even need to enhance at all, but you got the colored pencils in case you do. And like you might want to do a little shading on that, make it a little bit darker. And then I want to use the little topper right here. And again, that's where that little registration mark comes in really handy. Now I've collected quite a few of these Rubber Stamp Tapestry sets. They're so fun for this, and it's just another way to use them so you can get the most use out of your supplies. I know a lot of you guys stocked up on them too on their last sale, and I'm going to share a coupon code so you can save money on this order, but it's only for a limited time. I believe it's 15% off through May 14th, so you don't want to wait. You definitely want to jump on that deal. And I'm going to put this little stem right on the top of my little, oops, that was too high. That's all right, we'll do it again. Not a big deal. Not a big deal at all. So where's my strawberry? I lost my berry. Lost my berry, there it is. We're going to ink that back up again. Doesn't take very much cardstock, so we really don't need to worry about wasting. We'll stamp that there. We'll do our little topper with our green that we can darken later if we need to, not a biggie. And this time I'm going to pull it closer to the berry. You can actually peek under there if you want to. Perfect, perfect, there we go. And I want the little flower. I think I'm going to do the flower in, I think I'll do it in brown because it is a white flower. You can do brown or blue, I think. Either of those I think would look nice. I think brown's just a little bit safer, and the blue might look a little weird, so we'll play it safe this time. Can add a little yellow to that after. Put that right next door there. And let's do with that brown, while we have it out, let's do some of the curlicues here. And the nice thing about these stamp sets is that I could take like this curlicue and I could add it to another set. I could totally mix and match these things, so I think that's really fun. Do one over to the side. Whoops, that's all right. We're not even going to notice that when we go to color it. Okay, so we've got those two. Let's do another one. Let's see, what would be fun? Well, maybe let's do like something simple, like these little flowers from the Aloha one. But let's do a couple different colors here. Let's do Let's do pink. Let's do it all in the pink first. Okay, and now let's dab on some red and dab on some blue and see if we get some cool colors that way. So when you have a limited amount of colors like I do here with these big brush pens, you can mix and match them and get a lot more use out of them. That's what I like about the watercolor. These aren't watercolor, the India ink, but because they're going to stay wetter on the stamp, I can kind of mix the colors around a little bit. Let's see how that looks. Oh, that's kind of fun. We can put a little yellow in the background. So now I'm going to grab my my color pencils here, and I'm going to add a little bit of purple to this pansy here. And I'm going to blend it into some fuchsia. So I'm actually kind of going over what I had there for ink because I wanted a little bit more vibrant. And some of that in the center there too. Let's go into some nice yellow. I love to have some yellow on a pansy design. And then for the background, maybe just some light blue. I really like the light blue as far as background. Maybe do a little teal in close and then do light blue around. And you can blend this with a little bit of Gamsol if you want to, or you can leave it. It's up to you. Because they're not gonna smudge with the glue that we're going to use, and my mat that I'm working on does have some scratches on it because it's a cutting mat, so I might want to blend it out just to get it, just to make it a little bit smoother, and I'll show you how to do that here in just a second. And you can take your time, color a little bit slower. You know, I'm just trying to be efficient so I don't waste your time too much today. Mother's Day's a couple days away, you got work to do, right? So I'm just going to dip my little blending stump into some Gamsol, which is basically like an odorless mineral spirit. You could use Goo Gone, you could use, I probably wouldn't use baby oil for this one just because it might make the glue not want to stick very well. And then I'm just smoothing out, basically. Not a biggie. And we'll let that dry. You could actually blend that a little bit if you want to. Sometimes it makes the colors pop a little bit more when you put the Gamsol on it, I think because it just like breaks up the wax and smooths out the pigment. Okay, and we'll go over to our little flower there. And all I'm going to do there is just put a little bit of yellow in the middle of the blossom and just give it some really light blue around everything, just to kind of rouge it. Now, it's my cutting mat is apparently a little bit less scratchy over here, and you can see it's much easier to color a smooth design. There, just enough so that that white flower stands out. And then for that, I think I'm just going to grab a little bit of yellow and just fill in around those flowers. So simple. So this is a great use for those tiny stamps. And we're actually going to use these magnets to be a temporary scrapbook embellishment or card embellishment on our Mother's Day card, which I'll show you in just a minute. And maybe I'll do a little bit of color in the center that would be a little contrasting. Let's do this light, I don't know how this will look, we'll see. Let's do this light purple in the middle and see how that looks. Well, it's kind of pretty. Okay, once you have everything colored, you're going to want to pick magnets that will look nice on here. Now, the problem with some of the dollar store magnets is sometimes you'll see like they'll have little imperfections in them. So I just look around and try to find really clear ones. And you might find that like a smaller one works better for a design, and that's totally fine. Like I kind of like that smaller one, but I feel like that's got like a little imperfection on there. So you do kind of have to pick and choose, but they're only $1, so you can use leftovers in mosaic projects and things like that. So, or as like flower fill, glass fill for, oh, I like that. Okay, so once you've placed your magnets down, you're going to want to glue them. And I'm just using some Jewel-It glue. Any sort of glue that will bond glass will be great. Probably even Mod Podge will work. Glossy accents will work. You probably have that in your craft stash. So what I'm going to do, you don't need a lot. I'm just going to put a little bit and just kind of spread it around with a tip of my fine tip applicator bottle. You could use a paintbrush if you don't have a fine tip applicator bottle. That's totally fine. And then you just want to smush it down there and make sure it marries really well. Now you could use a double-sided adhesive for this, but make sure it's a really clear one because a lot of the stronger double-sided adhesives have a little bit of a haze to them. So it might cut down on your beautiful coloring. Or you could just make a point of coloring really boldly so that it doesn't matter, so it will still show through just fine. Again, all the way up to you. So I'm spreading out that adhesive and I'm going to stick that right on top there. And I can lift it up and move it over a little bit if I don't have it just right, because that India ink in the big brush pens is not going to go anywhere. And I'll put a list of all the sets that I used from Rubber Stamp Tapestry in the video description. The nice thing about their website is that when you go to order, if you say, oh, I want that pansy stamp, it'll tell you if you're just ordering the individual peg stamp if it appears in any sets. And like this one would say Pansy Garden, also appears in Pansy Garden. So you'll know that either A, if I already have that stamp set, then I've got that stamp already, so you don't buy doubles. Or you might say, well, before I buy this one, maybe I'll look at the set, because you generally save money when you buy a set. So you may decide that you'd rather have that set anyway. So sometimes you buy a single and you're like, oh, I like that set, darn it, I've already bought that single, I'm gonna have a double. This way you can kind of investigate that first. It's a very well organized website, so I'm very happy to report that. Plus they have little tips and tricks sheets there that you can look at before you buy to see if you want to, if you like the way it goes together, and just so you're really well informed before you purchase, and I think that's really great. So the next thing we're going to do is make a card that we can house all of these on. Now we're going to move on to make the greeting card for our magnets so that we can actually gift our present with the card. So what I have here is a half sheet of cardstock folded in half. It's nice heavy duty cardstock, and I've got a scrap of just kind of a neutral paper, and that's what I'm going to use to kind of figure out where I want my design to be. I want to do a frame with these Pansy Garden stamps, and I think I'm actually going to grab a branch from one of my other sets to make it a little bit more useful. I've got this pretty branch over here from the Bittersweet set that I think would be really nice. I actually have a couple other branches and other sets that I lent to a girlfriend who's using them right now, so this is the one branch I have in my hands. I know the Rose Garden has a really pretty branch in it too, so either way. And then I think I'm just going to make a couple little marks with a pencil so I know where my paper is going to be. So I'm just making a couple little, I'm just scooching it over so hopefully I can kind of hide where those are. Alright, so I just know I need to stay in that area. And then I'm going to, again, use my watercolor markers or big brush pens. You can go ahead and use other ones that you have because you're not going to have to worry about them smearing. And I am just going to go ahead and stamp some branches around just to kind of get me an idea of where I want everything to be. This would be a little bit quicker to do with an ink pad, but I like to use what I have. Probably most of us have markers. You could even use the kids' Crayolas for this, and they're already on my table, so I'm going to go ahead and use this. You might even be able to get a couple stamps on one inking. Yeah. Get a little more of a random look that way too. And this just helps us anchor our design. Now remember, when we're working with these stamps, it's like putting rocks in a jar. We start with our big rocks, our big stones, then we go into the pebbles, then we go to the sand, and then we go to the water. So we're going to start with our biggest thing, which is our pansy. I actually grabbed a purple marker because I don't have a purple big brush marker, and I'm not going to be putting glue or anything over this, so I don't have to worry so much about this bleeding. So I'm going to go ahead and put this one in a bunch of times. This will be such a lovely display for our magnets. You're probably wondering how we're going to put this all together, but I promise you it is going to be awesome. And then I think I'll go with the next biggest one, which is this, it almost looks like a cluster of ivy. And let's do that with this pretty green. Make that up good. And we're going to stamp that randomly around our design. So pretty. Now I think I want to put the butterfly in there. That's kind of the next largest one, and I think I'm going to double color it. So I'm going to go in with this pink, and then I'm going to do a little bit of the purple. Let's do this purple because I think I want to use some of that. Do that kind of in the center, and let's stamp that a couple times Let's see, let's put that there and ink it up again. This is riveting stuff, isn't it, guys? You'd think I'd be quicker at this by now. Let's put up here, because it looks like there's a little space there. And I think 2 is enough for that. Even though we try to keep things in groups of 3, we have so much going on there that I think 2 is probably plenty. We can always revisit the butterfly later if we need to. And now let's do the tiny pansy, because that's really sweet. And I want to do that in that plummy purple too. That's kind of a pretty color. And we're going to stamp that a few times around. I might do some in the pink as well. Just remember to keep turning your stamp as you go so that you get a nice random look. All right, and last but not least, I think I want to do this little vine here, and I think I'm going to do that in a lighter green because I don't want a heavy look here. I want it nice and fresh. So I'm just going to do that, and I'm going to look at the registration mark there to make sure I have it lined up well. This is a really, really light spring green. It's almost neon, so it's not going to show up very well, but it will fill in, and sometimes that's what you need. You just need to fill in a little bit. And then finally, I'm going to go in with a little bit of yellow pencil to add a little bit of color into the center of my pansies here. Very quick and easy. Okay, so now I want to put the area for my magnets, and I think I can fit about 4 magnets on this card really comfortably. And what I'm going to use here are some metal discs. So I've got these little metal discs here. These are from Craft Chameleon, and they're going to be like an anchor point for my magnets to stick to through the paper. So what I want to do here is make sure they're stuck really well. I'm going to use some double-sided adhesive. I'm just going to cut out like a square of it from this sheet. I think probably your ATG tape or any double-sided scrapbooking tape would be sufficient for this. I just want to make sure it's not going to, like, the magnets aren't going to be so strong that they're going to want to pull the metal through the paper. So I'm just going to put that on my card like that. Peel this up. Just got to bend over an edge to get it to peel up. And then I'm going to place on my 4 discs, and I'm just going to try to keep them spaced out pretty well, pretty evenly. And don't worry, it's all going to make sense in a minute. I haven't shown you how to finish the magnets off, but it'll make sense, I promise. And then we're going to center that up. I'm only turning it around because the word postcard's on there, and I just don't want it to be unreadable. Okay, and now we're going to come back to our magnets here. They're not completely dry. The colors are going to be a lot brighter once they're dry. But what you want to do is roughly cut around them. And I'm just going to do one just to show you here. Okay. Now again, it will be bright. It will be brighter when it's all dry. But it's dry enough to cut around. So you want to angle your scissors like that, so you're kind of undercutting. And just trim around it. Use the edge of the marble as a guide. It magnifies, so when you undercut, you're not going to see any gaps or anything like that. Let's cut around there. Okay, so we've got our little pebble there. It's pretty. And then we're going to put a magnet on the back, and these are super strong magnets, and they're nice and thin, so they're not going to add too much additional bulk. And I'm just using a little scrap of that adhesive sheet, the same stuff I just used to stick that down. And I'm going to use that to adhere it to my the back of the paper that's behind my magnet. This is the most time-consuming part of the whole project, trying to get the backing paper off of this. Goodness gracious. There we go. I think. There we go. All right. Make sure I'm not throwing away the sticky side. All right, let's put that on there and peel that off. And then if you have any excess, fold it around to the back, okay? If you have any extra adhesive sticking out. And then just press that on the back good, and that is going to be stuck. This is really, really super strong stuff. Okay, so there's our finished magnet. So what you're going to do is just set it on there, and these are going to be stuck. Let's do it like that. They're going to grab the metal discs underneath, so it's really kind of fun. And there you have it. Isn't that fun? Now you could use the same idea to make scrapbook embellishments. It will be kind of lumpy though. You could use it for push pins, probably the smaller magnets, probably like, you know, you want to go like this size for like a push pin just because it's kind of heavy. But this stuff is just such a fun idea and kids can totally make this. Now you can get peel and stick magnet from the craft store, but I would recommend not using that unless you just want the magnet to hold itself up, because the black peel and stick magnet stuff from the craft store is not strong enough to hold up the magnet plus any other papers or things that you want to put on your fridge. And if your fridge is anything like mine or my mother's, you got tons of notes and things tacked up to your fridge with magnets. So I liked my stuff to be useful, not just pretty. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you are in need of any tiny little stamps, check out our sponsor, Rubber Stamp Tapestry. They've got an awesome deal for you right now through the 14th. 15% off coupon code is in the video description. Don't miss out. Don't wait. You want to order that while the deal is on, and then maybe order something for yourself and your mother too. I'm sure she would appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. Please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Until next time, happy crafting.